Imagine getting the promotion you've wanted for years. At 9 in the morning, the email arrives. You got it. For a moment, everything feels worth it. The long hours, the frustration, the days you wondered whether you were actually getting anywhere. You're proud. Then, 5 minutes later, you open your phone. Someone you know has posted an announcement. They're your age. Similar background, similar career. Except they've just landed a position far above yours. And suddenly, your promotion doesn't feel quite as impressive. But here's the strange part. Nothing about your achievement changed. Same title, same salary, same promotion. So how did something that felt enormous at 9 o'clock feel smaller just 5 minutes later? Because progress isn't always measured with a fixed ruler. Sometimes you're moving forward, while the ruler itself is moving. And once you understand why, the feeling that you're behind in life starts to look very different. Imagine two people, same age, same salary, same career level. One feels successful, the other feels hopelessly behind. How? One possibility is that they're using completely different reference points. Humans don't evaluate themselves entirely in isolation. In 1954, psychologist Leon Festinger proposed what became known as social comparison theory. His original theory suggested that people often evaluate themselves partly through comparisons with others, especially when objective standards aren't obvious. The research has developed considerably since then, but the basic insight remains important. We don't only ask, "How am I doing?" We also ask, "How am I doing compared with them?" And that second question can completely change the answer to the first. But there's something even more revealing. Not everyone's success affects you equally. Imagine hearing that a 65-year-old billionaire just made another $1 billion. Interesting, perhaps, but probably not personally devastating. Now imagine someone your age, from your hometown, with a similar education, builds the exact business you've spent years trying to build. That can hit differently. Their success feels relevant to your own possibilities. And suddenly, their achievement creates an uncomfortable question. If they did it, why haven't I? Comparison can become particularly powerful when it touches something important to your identity. If you don't care about music, discovering that your friend is an extraordinary pianist probably doesn't bother you. But if you've both spent 10 years chasing the same career, their breakthrough may feel like a statement about your progress. It isn't. But psychologically, it can feel that way. Now put that tendency inside a world where potential comparison targets are always within reach. That's where the problem gets bigger. The comparison pool explodes. You wake up and reach for your phone. Before you've even thought about your own day, someone is celebrating a promotion. A few swipes later, someone younger than you is buying a house. Someone else is traveling. Another person is announcing an engagement. Then there's the entrepreneur explaining how much their business made this month. None of these people has necessarily done anything wrong. But notice what your mind is being asked to process. One person's career, another person's relationship, another person's body, another person's money, another person's lifestyle, and somehow, all of those separate lives can become one impossible standard against which you measure your own. Social media didn't create social comparison. It dramatically expanded the pool, and there's an imbalance hiding underneath it. You know the unedited version of your life, the rejection, the argument nobody saw, the failed project, the weeks when nothing moved. But you rarely have equivalent access to everyone else's experience. You see selected pieces, so you may end up comparing the full complexity of your life with fragments of many other people's lives. Research gives us a reason to take that pattern seriously. A 2026 meta-analysis found that greater online upward social comparison, comparing yourself with people who appear better off, was associated with lower well-being and lower self-esteem. But pay attention to one word: associated. That matters. It does not mean social media universally causes poor mental health. The broader evidence is more complicated. Still, after hearing all this, the solution seems obvious. If comparison can make you feel worse, stop comparing. Except, that's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Comparison isn't always the enemy. Imagine seeing a colleague get the opportunity you've wanted. For a moment, it stings. But then you notice something. They aren't some unreachable celebrities. You know them. You've watched how they work. And instead of thinking, "Vollen, I'll never catch up," you start wondering, what did they do that I could learn from? Now, the comparison is doing something completely different. It isn't only showing you a gap, it's giving you information. And research suggests comparison really can influence behavior in constructive ways. A 2025 Nature Human Behavior meta-analysis examined 79 randomized controlled trials involving more than 1.35 million participants. It found small, short-term improvements in behavior from social comparison interventions. The word small matters. This doesn't mean comparison automatically makes people happier or more successful. It means the advice, "Never compare yourself to anyone," is too simple. Because another person could look at that exact same colleague and think, "They're so far ahead. I'll never be good enough." Same colleague. Same achievement, different psychological response. Researchers describe responses like these using ideas such as assimilation and contrast. Another person's success can expand your sense of what's possible, or it can emphasize the distance between where they are and where you are. Similarity, perceived attainability, context, self-esteem, and how much the domain matters to you can all influence that response. So comparison isn't automatically the problem. What the comparison comes to mean about you matters. But there's still something we haven't explained. Why can you finally reach the goal and soon feel behind all over again? The finish line moves. Think about how ambition often unfolds. I just need a good job. You get one. Then, I need a promotion. You get promoted. Then, I should be earning more. Your salary increases. Then you notice people your age buying houses. Eventually, you buy one. And before long, why don't I have investments? Something important has happened. You kept moving, but so did the standard. Research across psychology and economics suggests that people's evaluations can depend partly on relative position, changing aspirations, and adaptation. As circumstances change, reference points can change too. That means your life can objectively improve. while the distance between where you are and where you believe you should be stays exactly the same, or even grows. And we don't create all these standards ourselves. Society provides plenty of ready-made ones. Married by 30, house by 30, successful career by 30, financially secure by 35. Some life decisions involve genuine biological, economic, or institutional constraints. But many familiar achievement deadlines are not universal psychological laws. Repeat them often enough, however, and they can start feeling like laws. Then you're not simply pursuing something you value. You're racing a clock you may never have consciously chosen, which means the question, "Why am I behind?" may already contain a hidden assumption. Behind whom? When you feel behind, don't immediately accept the feeling as an objective verdict. Ask yourself 3 questions. First, behind whom? Not everyone. Who actually became your benchmark? A friend? A colleague? Someone online? And are they representative? Or have you taken an exceptional outcome and turned it into the minimum requirement for your own life? Second, is this comparison giving me information or judging my worth? There's a difference between "they're better at this, what can I learn?" and "they're better at this, therefore I'm not good enough." One treats the gap as information. The other turns achievement into identity. Someone being ahead of you in one dimension does not establish your value as a person. And third, did my benchmark move? Think about yourself 1 year ago. What were you hoping to achieve? What did you once call progress? If that version of you could see your life today, what would they notice that you've stopped noticing? This isn't an argument against ambition. It's about noticing when ambition becomes an endlessly moving target. What behind actually means. Now, go back to that promotion. At 9 o'clock, it felt enormous. At 9:05, it felt smaller. But the promotion never shrank. The reference point changed. So when your mind says, "I'm behind," ask what that sentence actually means. Behind whom? In which part of life? According to whose timeline? Compared with what starting point? Another person's success can become information. It can become inspiration. Or it can become evidence you use against yourself. The goal isn't to eliminate comparison. It's to know what you're measuring, whom you're measuring against, and when the measuring stick has quietly changed. Because sometimes you don't feel behind because you've stopped moving forward. You've been moving the entire time. The finish line moved too. If this helped you see your own comparisons a little more clearly, subscribe to Mind Archive. Understand your mind. Understand people.